President Donald Trump signs the COVID relief bill along with a massive government spending bill. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to you who've been here before and also to you who are new. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and let's talk about this COVID relief bill. Obviously, the COVID relief bill has been a rather chaotic topic lately. People were thinking things like, hey, what's going to happen with this thing? Congress just passed a bipartisan bill. They put it on the president's table, and he said he's not going to sign it. And essentially, he said he wasn't going to sign it because in this bill, we have massive government spending overseas when the American people need money. A $600 stimulus check is not enough, and he said we need a $2,000 stimulus check for the American people. And many of the American people actually agreed with him. They said that $600 is not enough to pay the bills. It's not enough to basically do anything with. $600 is insignificant. It's not enough. And they even said things like, you try living on $600 for the next couple of months and let's see how far you go. However, is the COVID relief bill just a $600 stimulus check for the American people, or is it more? It's important to know that the COVID relief bill was passed together with another bill, the OMNIBUS bill, which is a government spending bill. And most of the wasteful spending that the president was addressing was in the omnibus bill. However, is the COVID relief bill just a $600 stimulus check? Senator Mitt Romney has a summary of some of the things that are included in the COVID relief bill. And it says that there's an additional $300 that are included in everybody who is receiving an unemployment check, and that would be included weekly. There's $300 billion that are going to be allocated to small businesses, which would be those PPP loans we've seen before, and the EIDL grants that we also have seen before. $13 billion for emergency for food assistance, $13 billion to provide funding to address COVID-related impacts on farmers, ranchers, growers, and fisheries, $25 billion for emergency rental assistance, and extension of the eviction moratorium through January 31st, extension of the student loan forbearance until April 1st, $35 billion for the healthcare providing relief fund, $16 billion for testing, tracing, and vaccine deployment and distribution. Therefore, we see that there are many things in the COVID relief bill, and these are just some of the things that I've mentioned. It's actually a pretty big bill. It's a $900 billion bill that's going to help the American people. It's not actually just a $600 stimulus check for everybody. It's actually a lot more. For instance, just in the people that are unemployed, they would be receiving an additional $300 weekly. And if you add up 4 weeks in the month, that's an additional $1,200 a month for those people who are unemployed and receiving unemployment. However, in the omnibus bill, we do see lots of waste and lots of money being wasted overseas and also in the country. President Trump was addressing the money that was going overseas. However, we're blowing money in the States also. In an article by Newsweek, it says that Israel will be receiving $3.3 billion in grants. Egypt will be getting a $1.3 billion. And we even have crazy things like Burma receiving $135 million in aid for programs to promote ethnic and religious tolerance to combat gender-based violence. So obviously there is a lot of wasteful spending going overseas. Additionally, in another article by Fox News where they talk to Senator Rand Paul and highlight some of the spending that he addressed, he said that $8.7 billion has been wasted on foreign aid, included $37.5 million to help Philippines deal with truant youth. So basically, $37.5 million was wasted in helping Philippines getting their kids to go to school, which I don't know why we're doing that if we're going through a crisis or spending that much money overseas in the first place. Rather, we have a crisis or not. And we have $8.6 billion for counter-narcotics efforts in Afghanistan. And if you don't think that the wasteful spending overseas is enough, we also have a lot here. Here are some of the other things that Fox highlights that Senator Rand Paul said. $7 million was allocated to a cancer research study used to develop the smart toilet. $2 million was spent to see if a hot tub can help people lower their stress levels. $150 million has been wasted on environmental, energy, and science. These expenses include $1.5 million to examine lizards walking on treadmills and $2 million to develop a wearable headset for tracking eating behavior. So, not only is this wasteful spending happening overseas, we also have a lot of it here in the country. 1.5 million going to lizard walking on treadmills, kind of crazy. A lot of wasteful spending overseas. And essentially, President Trump's argument is, let's cut this wasteful spending overseas and put more money in the American people's pockets, which I guess makes some sense since we're going through a pandemic and people need money. So here are my thoughts on this. And before I tell you, I think it's ridiculous those people that say, hey, I'm just giving you the facts. I have no biases. I'm just giving you the facts. So I'm not going to do that. And I'm going to tell you guys where I'm coming from. I'm a conservative. I generally believe in a small government. I don't like big government. I think the bigger the government is, the worse they are at doing their job. Therefore, I don't like big government spending. I don't like when the government gets all this money and they can spend it on whatever they are, because the more money they have, the bigger they are, and the more mistakes they make. For instance, we have a couple of $1 million going to lizard walking on treadmill. We have millions of dollars going to the Philippines and kids who aren't going to school there, which is completely ridiculous. We have $10 million going to Pakistan in their gender studies, which is also ridiculous. And I think had the American people had an option to vote on these things, they would say no. We do not want to spend our hard-earned money on kids not going to school in the Philippines or gender studies in Pakistan and stuff like that. Therefore, the bigger the government gets, the worse it is. Next point, if anybody in Congress gets a bill that's over thousands of pages long and you do not have enough time to read it, like you have 2 hours or 3 hours to vote on it, please vote no. Don't vote on the bill. If you can't read it, you can't represent your people. You can't represent your community. How do you go back to your community saying, hey, I voted for this and I don't know what's in it? As for the COVID relief bill, I understand. We're going through a pandemic and most likely there's going to be a bill, a stimulus bill for the American people. However, like I said before, I generally don't agree with government spending all this money. Money doesn't grow on trees. Just because we can print it doesn't mean we have an infinite amount. And there are serious consequences with printing all this money and just putting it out there. If you didn't know, over 30% of all the money in circulation in the United States was printed this year alone because of the pandemic. I think it's important that we address this pandemic in a more sound way that's backed up by science, and we open up our businesses, we open up our government, we take care of the people that are in high risk, but we open up our economy because money doesn't go on tree. And if we don't pay the price for it in the near future, our kids will, our grandkids will. Printing money is not a solution for the problem. It's not. It's a quick answer that brings on more problems later on. Therefore, I don't really like the COVID relief package, nor do I really like government spending all this money overseas. However, I do agree with the president in the sense that if we are going to spend money, we should be spending it here. We are going through a pandemic, so I understand the idea of spending money. I don't like it. I think the first time that we did it with the CARES Act was better because we didn't necessarily know what was going on. Now we have more information and we're aware that we can open up the economy and protect the people that are in higher risk. Therefore, with this bill, I don't like it that much, but I understand. I do agree with the president that if we're to spend money, it should be spent here and not overseas, especially when we're going through a pandemic. I do not like that he wanted to increase the bill and say, hey, let's give $2,000. I think Senator Rand Paul said it the best. Why not 1,000? Why not 10,000? Why not 1,000,000? Hey, if we're printing money, you might as well blow it. Obviously, there are consequences to printing money, and it's going to hurt us in the future along with our kids, our grandkids, and the generations to come. We need to make our decisions today, not only thinking about a quick fix for today, but also with the future in mind, with the future of our kids and our grandkids. Therefore, that's what I think. That's my opinion on this bill. I don't really like the idea of the government spending crazy money. I understand that we're going through a pandemic and it needs to be done. I did not like that Trump came out and tried to increase the bill. However, he has just signed it and we're going to learn what's going to happen with the 2000 bills. Anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Let me know if you guys agree with me or if you disagree and why. And stay tuned for the next one. Again, make sure you guys like, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.